Well, good afternoon. My name is Willie Lawson, and I am the founder of Fight Back Media Group, and I'm also the host of Fight Back, the flagship show of Fight Back Media Group. Today we're going to talk about voter intimidation, or vote intimidation. Now, I know that you probably are thinking that that's something else, but I'm going to tell you how it happens in urban America. How it happens in urban America is very, very important because this could be the season. This could be the election that turns the tide for urban America. We are in I think we're in a tremendously good time in urban America because we are having something that we haven't had in a while, at least in the past 8 years. We're actually okay with having open dialogue. We're actually okay with having open dialogue, and basically, I have to thank the election of Barack Obama as the nation's first, at least partially African American or wholly African American president, and I want to thank Bernie Sanders for making an impact in urban America, along with people like Rand Paul. So there are three people who are not currently running for president who are responsible, I believe, for what's happening as far as dialogue goes in urban America. And I think the two newcomers on that opening of dialogue front are Bernie Sanders and Rand Paul. While Rand Paul was unafraid early in the primary season as a Republican to go to historically black colleges and universities like Howard and stand there in those groups and basically take it. I'm telling you, take it. Take whatever the anger, no matter how misplaced, no matter how misguided, and talk about things like the Constitution and talk about things like liberty and freedom. When the only thing a lot of people in the audience could see that he was a white Republican. He's a rich white Republican doctor who'd come to their campus to speak to them. And what happened is what a lot of us tell Republicans all the time: if you go there and you make the case, my friend Kevin Batts, he and I had about an hour conversation the other day, and basically, I'm using his line: if we go there and we make the case for freedom and liberty, it will have an impact. And it's interesting how this groupthink works. We always say, where we live, I am, I have great partners like Eddie Adams Jr., who's run for Congress a number of times in my district, and I have other folks here who talk about Republicans getting into the urban corridor or the urban community here. And it's funny, when I was talking to Kevin of the Red River Chronicle, he said the very same thing. He said, "Here's the deal. We're not going to, quote, win urban America. Conservatives and Republicans are not going to win urban America, at least not now. That's our reality. But you know what? If you could knock off a few percentage points and start gaining some momentum by simply showing up, that'll make the big difference." And what we saw in this election early on, Rand Paul showed up in the urban corridor. He showed up at the historically black colleges and universities, and so did Bernie Sanders. And it's changed the discussion. As a matter of fact, and Hillary Clinton is still sort of reeling from this, and her people aren't saying so. But what they knew when the DNC got caught red-handed trying to cook the books and make it difficult for Bernie Sanders was that he had an impact in an area that they had taken for granted. He had an impact in areas that he had taken for granted. And if you combine that with the impact that Rand Paul had, there was a lot of support, or a good deal of support, for Rand Paul on the campuses of on the campuses of historically black colleges and universities. There was a large amount of support for Bernie Sanders on the campuses of historically black colleges and universities. Why? Because now the benefit of this is that the dialogue room is wide open. Wide open. And I can say that because you don't see, because I haven't seen the very same shutting down of speech at the the historically black college and university, the HBCUs, as you've seen at some of the liberal, mostly white universities that are running like crazy to cut off the free speech. I haven't seen the same sort of quote safe zones and that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff only seems to show up at where there are mostly white liberals. Don't you find that to be interesting? Where the black colleges and universities were open to the discussion, and because they are open to the discussion, the black Twitter is open to the discussion. And a non-traditional Republican candidate like a Donald Trump is now open to the discussion. Yes, there are a number of people who are shut off, who shut the dialogue off immediately like a water spigot because Donald Trump is white and he's old and he's Republican. I get that. But there are a lot of people who are watching. They may not be saying anything, but they are watching. Know that if you are in public life at any level, even here on the internet, that people are watching. People are watching what you're doing. They're listening to what you're saying. They may not respond. They may not comment to your post. They may not show up on your online radio program in the chat room, but they're listening. And I know there's some people out here who are listening. I know you are. I got you. I know you're listening. I know you are. But the deal is this. The deal is that I don't want you guys to be intimidated at all for your vote. I want you to vote your values. And that's what we're going to talk on when we get back from this break. I want you to vote your values. I want you to be comfortable with voting your values. And I don't want you to be intimidated by the things that people are saying. I want you to vote your values. Vote what you think is good for you and your family and your community. Because if you do that, your country, I promise you'll be just fine. Let's take a little break. We'll be back with more of Fight Back here on Spreaker right after these messages. Information is crucial when you're looking to purchase a new home. With so many choices of communities and options, choosing the right one for you and your family can be a daunting task. That's why you need to go to New Homes of Tampa Bay right now, www.newhomestpa.com, and get the information you need. Learn how people save thousands of dollars when purchasing new homes. Buy like the pros. New Homes Tampa Bay, www.newhomestpa.com. You're tired of the cold? You're tired of the taxes? It's time to move to Florida. And our friend Gary Knight at New Homes of Tampa Bay is the perfect person to help you. You can just give Gary a call at 813-770-9452, or you can go to the website to look for your brand new home at www.newhomestpa.com. Move to Florida. It's about time. All right, we're back. Again, my name is Willie Lawson, and this is Fight Back. We are the flagship program of fightbackmediagroup.com. And you can go and help what we do at fightbackmedia.com and click the donate button. That would be cool. We could use your help. We're not doing any regular fundraisers, not sending any emails out for fundraising in November or December. As a matter of fact, we have an ad banner campaign going on, and we've had some pretty decent response. We've got Blog Talk Radio. My God, we've got Bloomingdale's Flower Shop on board. We've got New Homes of Tampa Bay on board. We're soon to have a good friend of mine, the Ed Dean Radio program on board soon. So we want to have you on board too. We've got all sorts of ways to get you exposed on the fightbackmedia.com website, and we just need your help. Now, it's easy. You don't have to do anything except go and click the Buy Now button on the website, and then send me an email at wls860@gmail.com. Tell me the information that you want people to know about. Tell me the link that you want them to go to. And whether you have a cause, a business, whatever, if it meets our requirements and it's with the purpose that, of fight back, we're down with it. Let's go ahead and do this. And it helps us out, and it gets us ready for 2017. Everything we do between now and the end of the year is setting us up for 2017. That is my goal. Everything we do is set up for 2017 in Fight Back Media Group. You know what? I'm making changes in my personal life, my personal work life. I'm about to take on some tasks that I hadn't planned on before. Why? To make sure that we have the funds, that we have the resources to do what we need to do, what we have to do in 2017. So you can go to fightbackmedia.com and check us out there, and check out the 6 of the voices that we are trying desperately to build a platform for, that need to be heard in urban America and around and all over the country. Sonny Johnson, K. Carl Smith, C.L. Bryant, Alfonso Rachel, Kevin Batts, and there'll be more, and there will be more. We're looking to put up a sound bite and some video from my friend Ken McClinton soon. So and Ali Akbar soon. We're going to probably put Ali's up here in a little bit, probably in the next day or so. You'll see a clip from Ali Akbar, another voice that has to be heard in urban America, who's already doing the job, who just needs more of a platform. Not that any of these people are not capable of building their own platform, because they're all the most capable people. But I don't know one of them that wouldn't take some help, that wouldn't say, yeah, thanks for the help, thanks for the hand up. Well, that's what we're doing. And I'm not doing it to be thanked. I'm doing it because what I believe is what they're saying is so vitally important that I have got to hold up their sign. We have got to hold up their sign so their message can be heard in the places that it needs to be heard. That the medicine that they have can get to the people who so desperately need it. And that's Fight Back Media Group. That's what we're about. And all the time pushing back and crushing the dangerous and destructive narrative from the liberal left, mainstream media, and pop culture. All right. I don't want anybody listening who's in urban America to feel like their vote is going to be intimidated. And I understand. Believe me, I understand how difficult it is, because I experienced it myself. Everybody's talking in this particular election. Everybody's talking about, you can't vote for Donald Trump because Donald Trump's a racist. Can't vote for Donald Trump because he's a racist. Some people are saying you can't vote for Donald Trump because he makes fun of disabled people. You can't vote for Donald Trump because he doesn't like women. You can't vote for Donald Trump because he's an old white Republican. You can't vote for Donald Trump. Blah 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 blah. Here's the deal, and enough of that talk intimidates people into voting a way that they might not have voted had they not been intimidated. Had they not heard again and again and again and again from a myriad of individuals, both in their family, both at their workplace, both in the community, that how they should vote. That can be very intimidating. Now, I know that you can go into your voting booth and check the person that you want, or fill in a little circle for whomever you want, and nobody would be the wiser. I know that. But what I also know is that it's tough to do when you get there, because you've heard all these voices, and what you start to do is you start to question yourself. If, quote, if everybody else is saying this, then ... end quote. Right? Am I right? Of course I'm right. Why am I right? Because I'm always right. Rush Limbaugh ain't the only guy who's always right. Me too. So we're kind of intimidated. But what I'm going to have you think about, as we are 4 days away from this national election, is that you've got to, and we did a show, and if you haven't listened to that program, it's the last program that we did here on Spreaker and iHeartRadio and YouTube. It's called, it's about bottom lining your vote. We have got to bottom line the vote. And the bottom line of the vote is about the community, but it's also about you and your family and your values. Which of the platforms most closely mirrors what you think and what you believe? Did you hear what I said? Which of the platforms of the major parties, most closely represents what you think and what you believe? Let me give you some really open-ended, unfair examples. If you believe that life starts at conception, Democrats don't. If you believe, I told you these examples aren't going to be fair. If you believe that life starts at conception and that you shouldn't kill people, if you believe in life starts at conception and thou shalt not kill, the Democrats don't agree with you. They don't agree with you. They don't necessarily believe that life starts at conception, and they don't necessarily believe that it's not okay to kill because of abortion. If you believe and you think that if a man doesn't eat, if a man doesn't work, he doesn't eat, then Democrats don't think or believe like you do. If you don't believe that churches should be allowed to preach the gospel without government intervention, there are Democrats who do not agree with you. Maybe even in your own town. If you believe that marriage should be between a man and a woman, a male from birth and a female from birth, then a lot of Democrats don't agree with you. They don't think that, they don't believe that. They don't. Now it's up to you to take these things, these very basic, simple, fundamental things, because that is the fundamentals that matter, to the voting booth with you. Who most, not perfectly, because nobody's perfect, there is no spooning of values here. Not with these two particular candidates or four particular candidates. When I say four, I always want to include that there are two more candidates, because this whole idea, this whole narrative that this is only a two-party system, and no, that's, first of all, that's not true. There are two other candidates. There's actually more than that, but there's two other candidates for sure that are going to be on your ballot, and they're going to be Gary Johnson of the Libertarian Party and Jill Stein of the Green Party. So you are more likely to see those four names. Now, there are others. There's the other, quote, conservative guy who's supposed to be the alternative to Donald Trump, who is on the Clinton Foundation payroll. That makes my brain hurt. We won't get into all that today, but that freaking makes my brain hurt. So what I'm saying is that here's the deal. You have to take your fundamental values down to the core, the bottom line, and then you have got to superimpose them on each of the candidates and see who comes out best. Of the things that your core values, your core beliefs, who comes out best. Because if you do that, and you don't get intimidated, and you don't listen to the hype, and you're not caught up in the distractions, then you'll make the right choice for you, your family, and your community. I promise you will. I promise you will. But as long as you're distracted, by the hoopla and the craziness and the silliness and the salaciousness of what this campaign has turned into, you're going to be led astray. And in fact, you're going to be intimidated by it. That's also true, and I can promise you that that's also true. So what I'm trying to get you to do is not do that. What I'm trying to do today is give you a way out of the nonsense and the craziness. Here's how you avoid it. Here's the road you take. I'm not asking you to take a voting slate. I'm not giving you a voting slate to take into the ballot box with you. I'm telling you what you take into the ballot box are your core beliefs. If you take in your core beliefs with you and you superimpose them on every candidate, every party, you will make the right decision. Because I know a lot of people, frankly, I'll tell you honestly, I know a lot of people in the urban community that are thinking about voting for Donald Trump for president, but they're unsure. They're unsure. And it's basically because it's something they haven't done before. Because they have, like a lot of people, been caught up with habit and tradition. And if there was two candidates on the ballot and they didn't know anything about either of them, they automatically just voted for the Democrat. Automatically. Why? Out of habit and tradition. Whether that was a good thing for them or not. Because in that case, they did not bring with them their core beliefs and superimpose those core beliefs upon the parties or the people. It has been the biggest tragedy in American politics since our founding. It has been the biggest tragedy in our elections since our founding. That we are more likely not to bring our core beliefs with us. My suggestion is that we start doing that. And how do we heal our country? Because that's a big question. How do we heal our country? How do we get the urban community turned around? How do we solve some of these huge problems we have? The first step is in 4 days. Bring your core values with you. What do you think? What do you believe? Do you believe that hard work should be rewarded and not penalized, and success should not be penalized? Then which party, which person shares that thought with you? Who shares that thought with you? Do you believe that people should have choice in where their kids go to school? Then who believes that with you? And at every level, who believes that with you? Because if you vote for that, for that party or those people, you're going to be less at odds with them and more likely, frankly, to get closer to what you believe your ideal is. It won't always be that uphill battle. We have to understand that none of it's ever going to be 100%. Again, you're not going to be able to spoon ideologically with any of these people, ever. That's never going to happen. Most people who are listening right now who are from urban America understand that you are not spooning ideologically with Barack Obama. That you are not down with everything that has come out of his mouth in the past almost 8 years. There's no way I believe that, because there's no way it's true, because you're different. First of all, if nothing else, you're different people. There's no way that urban America is 100% behind Barack Obama. Now, I know what the vote looks like, and a lot of the vote looks like it does purely out of habit and tradition. It isn't because 97% of black Americans agree with everything that has fallen out of the formerly nicotine lips of Barack Obama. That's not true. What's true is that a lot of black people didn't take their core values and their core beliefs into the voting booth with them. Bill Cosby took a picture of his parents in there with him instead of his core beliefs. A very touching story Cosby tells about in 2008 when he took pictures of his parents into the voting booth with him because he wanted them to be there with him as he voted for the first black president. Something that his parents thought they would never, that his parents thought would never happen, and was sure they'd never see, and didn't see it because they both passed away. Cosby took them with him into the voting booth. He tells this really poignant story. But what Bill Cosby didn't do was take his core values and beliefs with him. And it's the same thing. I mean, there's tons of stories about the very same thing around the country. We cannot make the same mistake. We cannot make the same mistake. When we get back, I'm going to talk to some of my friends who are Republicans who have decided to support Hillary Clinton. This is going to be a very difficult discussion for me. But with 4 days to go, I've got to have it. We'll be back with more of Fight Back right after these messages. Listen, this show would not be possible if it weren't for our affiliate partners. If it wasn't for people like Gary Knight at New Homes, Tampa Bay. If it weren't like Kevin Batts at theredriverchronicle.com. So, it is getting near the end of the month, so let's talk about the Red River Chronicle. The Red River Chronicle is a website that is full of fantastic conservative articles, conservative educational tools. I think that's the coolest thing. Spent 15 years in teaching in the public school system, and you know what? These educational tools are something that you can use yourself, that you can use in a classroom setting, that you can direct students to, sort of on the sly. Because it's, frankly, I think the battle is just like that. If you're working in the public school system, and you're in a social studies classroom, I use social studies because it's the easiest transition. And a student comes to you and says, "Where do I learn more about conservatives?" Well, the very first place you should send them is not townhall.com, is not the the Rush Limbaugh site or even the Willie Lawson show necessarily. You need to send them right to the redriverchronicle.com. Articles written in a scholarly way, primarily information about Oklahoma and Texas, but from a very conservative standpoint. And you know what? Kevin Batts is black, so that helps your students because that throws away and destroys the left's picture of who's supposed to be conservative. So you can also, on that site, that student will have access to Hillsdale College lectures, which I think are invaluable. Absolutely invaluable. And there's also an app that they can purchase. I did. It's all of 99 cents. I purchased it. It keeps you up to date with what's going on the redriverchronicle.com website. That's the redriverchronicle.com website. The finest in conservative information and education. Nothing fits a home perfectly than a brand new grand piano. And if you're looking for a piano for your brand new home, you've got to visit Dave's Piano. And that's davespianoshowroom.com. If you're looking for the perfect thing to set off your new home, a piano is what you're looking for. And my friend Dave has the perfect piano for you. And the best thing about buying a piano from Dave is that he does everything. He delivers, he sets up, he tunes, he takes care of everything. The best part about Dave's Piano, quite frankly, is Dave. So when you buy a piano from Dave's Piano Showroom, you only deal with Dave. You can reach them at www.davespianoshowroom.com. That's davespianoshowroom.com. All right, we're back. Thanks so much for taking care of our affiliate partners. Christine at Blooming Days Flower Shop here in Tampa. You can reach her at at www.bloomingdays.com. Stop ordering flowers from 1-800 buttholes, whatever, however you order flowers. Stop doing that crap. Stop going to online services that basically use your local florists like whores. Stop doing that. Go right to the source. Buy flowers locally. Buy them directly from local florists. It isn't any more inconvenient. I mean, you can make the call to the local florist. You can go online to the local florist. Do that. Stop using the services. Stop using the services. Go right to the local florist. And in our area, in the Tampa Bay area, the official florist of Fight Back Media and the Willie Lawson Show and the Lawson household is Blooming Days Flower Shop at 11618 North Florida Avenue. And you can reach them on the web at www.bloomingdays.com. And also want to thank my friend Gary Knight of New Homes of Tampa Bay. That's www.newhomestpa.com. If you're interested in buying a new home, if you're living somewhere else, if you're living around the country and you're listening to this show, because a lot of people around the country listen to this show, and you're thinking about moving to this area, and you want to know a little bit more about the housing thing. You're hearing that housing prices are ticking up here in Florida, and you just don't have. And you're like, well, you know what? I want to make an informed decision. So where do I get this information from? Yeah, you can get it from the builders, no doubt, but the builders want to sell you a house. What Gary wants to do is give you the information that you need so you can make the best decision for you and your family. So go to www.newhomestpa.com. Thank you to Gary and Christine for purchasing banner ads on the website. We appreciate both of you. Thank you for your continued support. I don't know what I'd do without you. That's for sure. All right. I want to talk to my Republican friends for a little bit because I think I think it's crucial and vital that we have this discussion a little bit. Because if we don't have this discussion, then we're in serious trouble. Because none of us then are sure why we are doing stuff, right? Why we are doing stuff. How come? That's the deal. That is the deal. So we've got to be really sure about why we're doing stuff. And so in order to do that, we have got to have some real conversation. I know a good number of Republicans have decided and have decided out loud, frankly, that they cannot and they will not support Donald Trump. Okay. Gotcha. Cool thing is that you don't have to. But I think this is about more than Donald Trump. And he may not be the perfect vessel. St. Paul was not the perfect vessel. St. Paul was someone who would torment Christians. Tax collector would show up, throw them in jail, take their kids from them if they couldn't pay their taxes, sell their kids into slavery. I mean, Paul was a terrorist. Struck blind on the road to Damascus and ended up writing most of the New Testament. Had the biggest, most important revelation of the gospel than anybody else in history. So no, originally he was not the perfect vessel, but God chose him anyway. Now, I'm not saying that God has chosen Donald Trump to do anything. But we have to learn from the lessons that it isn't always the perfect vessel that brings that the message that we need or the medicine that we need is going to show up in. It's not always the perfect vessel. Now, what I want to do is I want to play, if I can figure out how to do this here on the internet, I want to play a clip from my friend Ali Akbar. Again, one of these good people that we're trying our best to raise up a little bit. Now, not that Ali can't do it himself, because Ali can do it. Of course, he can do it himself. He has a business by which to promote. That's part of what he does personally. That's what he does professionally. But it doesn't mean that if he says something that I think is beneficial to the urban community and America at large, doesn't mean that I can't grab his sign and hold his sign up too. Does it? So we're going to try to do just that. All right. Let's see if we can get his. And we're having trouble with his audio. You know what? Of course we're having trouble with that audio. Why are we having trouble with that audio? I don't know. I could say that it's the Russians. That's what I could say. It's the Russians. It is the Russians that are messing with us, because what they don't want is that we get this sort of information that's important to the people who need to hear it. It's the damn Russians that are screwing with us. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to talk to the folks who have decided that they cannot support Donald Trump, and they are indeed not just not supporting Donald Trump, they have turned to Team Hillary. Now, I've got some really good friends. Frankly, one of the people who started me on this path that I'm on now published or posted that she's on Team Hillary. Now, this person has never been what she called a movement conservative. That she's always been an R. She worked closely with the Bushes. So she is a self-proclaimed Bush girl. So that would make her, in the eyes of a lot of people, part of the, quote, establishment. But there wasn't a more encouraging voice when I was starting on this trek than this woman that I'm talking about. I will not mention her name, because I don't want some of you to go off and rush around and make life any more difficult for her than it's already been. So I'm not going to tell you. So what bothers me is that it is the vessel that I believe that she has the most problems with. It is the crassness and the vulgarity that's been exposed in Trump that has made her decide that he is not the person. He does not have the grace and the elegance that a lot of people attribute to the Clintons, and frankly, I don't know how, because the Clintons are everything but classy and graceful or elegant. Everything but that. Frumpy, dumpy, crass, and disgusting. My eyes. Nothing classy about them. Especially when you pull back the veneer and you see it's like if you go up in your attic and there's a box there and the box is sort of coming apart and you pull the box and it looks okay from the outside, but you pull it, but on the inside, on the corrugated part of the box, there's roaches and roach eggs and silverfish, and that's how I see the Clintons. I want to know, I'm talking to Republicans who are deciding to support Hillary Clinton, not just not support Donald Trump, but are supporting Hillary Clinton, who are openly supporting Hillary Clinton. There was somebody on my Facebook page, and if I could remember her name, I would tell you her name, but I can't remember her name. I don't know her as well as the first person, but she showed me she took a picture of her ballot where she had voted for probably 6 Republicans and Hillary Clinton. And I did a little bit more investigation, and I found out that she's on the Pinellas County Republican Executive Committee. Now, what I'll tell you about that is that there is an oath problem. Because in order to be on a Republican Executive Committee in the state of Florida, you have to sign an oath that you will support the Republican candidate in any race where there is a Republican running. Now, obviously, support doesn't necessarily mean that you'll go out and wave a sign or you'll get up off your wallet. That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about at least you will not campaign against them. Now, publishing a picture of your ballot on your Facebook page to show everybody is obviously campaigning against the Republican candidate. So has this election pushed certain people who are standing there pretending to be principled while setting their country on fire, push them over the edge? Because, again, as I talk to my Republican friends who are supporting Hillary Clinton, you're setting urban America and the nation on fire. If you look at, this is as close as it gets, folks, to me telling you who to vote for as it's going to get with 4 days to go. If you look at who these people are and what they've done, if you look at the level of corruption, continued corruption that we're seeing now, between what happened in the FBI investigations, what's happening in the lack of the DOJ prosecutions, you can't think for, I'm sorry, you can't think for a second, you can't come at me and think that, yes, this is the principled, logical choice for your country. Remember I said earlier in the show that you have to vote, that we should be voting our values. So what values do you have if you are voting for and supporting someone who has been found to be a bold-faced liar on not just little things, not just I don't remember, not that, you know what, and not just someone who said mean things, not just someone who has said horrible things, but someone who has actually told lies to Congress. That person wants to be president. Someone who's gone to Congress, who's been called there to Congress and just openly lied to them. Somebody who has come to the American people straight up and lied to their faces. Hillary Clinton said that has said repeatedly, there was no classified information on her private email server. The fact of the matter is that there were classified emails on her private email server. There were. That was a lie. And then to say, you know what, well, my bad. A lot of brothers in penitentiary wish they could have just said, my bad. You know? A lot of people went to jail for lying to the FBI. Wish they could have just said, oh, my bad. I didn't mean any harm. I wasn't trying to. Sorry. Are those the values that you're voting for? Are those the values that you can get behind? Are those the values that you can get behind? Can you get behind the same values that say that marriage can be redefined as 2 men or 2 women or 2 women and 5 men or whatever deviant combination that you can come up with? Is that what you're down with? Is that where your values are? Are you voting your values? Are these your values? Are you okay with somebody who believes that partial birth abortion is okay? Now, unfortunately, Donald Trump doesn't really understand what partial birth abortion is. Obviously, by his remarks in the last debate, or he could have hit that thing out of the park. You know what? If they would have asked me the question, this is how I would have answered it. I would have said partial birth abortion is the most heinous thing that anyone can imagine. Partial birth means exactly what it says: to be partially born and to be murdered by the doctor. And to be murdered by the doctor. To be partially born, to be coming out of the woman's vagina, and to be murdered. This is not some indiscriminate blob of cells and tissues that gets flushed from the woman's uterus days after being planted there. This is a baby being born that the doctor murders. No, we shouldn't have partial birth abortions. No, it's murder. And the person who should go to jail for it is the doctor. And the medical professionals that are assisting, who become accomplices to this heinous act. So I don't think that people get what that is. And now if I had been counseling Donald on what partial birth abortion is, we would have knocked that out. We would have knocked that out of the park. They'd still be cheering that. But is partial birth abortion part of your value? Your values? Do you think that that's okay, or the guy, or you know what, or is just the guy who says mean stuff just way beyond the pale? Are you voting your values? Urban America, the same list of questions go to you. Are you voting your values? I know what you've heard. I know that you think that Donald Trump's a racist. Now, of course, you can't come up with one thing that he said that was racist. I know that you think he's a misogynist, but you can't come up with one single thing that proves that he's a misogynist. You know that I know you think he's a xenophobe, but you can't come up with one damn thing to convince anybody that he's a xenophobe. You can't come up with one single thing. You've participated in the echo chamber and you keep saying these things as if they're true, but they are not true. Not true. Hey, Paul, what happened earlier was that the first, it was my disaster here. I started the show and for some reason my microphone cable came out and then I had to restart. I had to do another one. I have to go back and delete the other one. Sorry. But you know what? So if you're about voting your values, what the heck are your values? What are your values? And unless we are ready to vote our values, we will continue to have the same sort of people in charge as we always do. People without any values that we agree with. We will continue to have that. Now, I've said on this show, and every time I've mentioned Donald Trump, that I did not support Donald Trump in the Florida primaries. I've said this story, I'm going to say it again. There were 3 votes cast in my house, and not one of them was for Donald Trump. 2 were for actually Marco Rubio, and the other was for Ted Cruz. So, full disclosure, I have not been on the Trump train since the beginning. But I can see that the choices are, I've got to vote my values. I have got to vote the candidate that is closest to my values. I won't be spooning ideologically with Donald Trump, obviously, because I'm not spooning with any presidential candidate ideologically. I wasn't spooning with Marco Rubio ideologically or Ted Cruz ideologically on every single point. We weren't so complimentary on every single point because I'm a human being and I have my own brain. Thank you very much. So we're talking about values. We're talking about those things, those core beliefs that I can move forward with the candidate is how I do it. And I suggest that's how you do it. And that you don't get intimidated by what people are saying around you. That when you go to the barbershop, that you are not intimidated by the conversation going on there, or the beauty salon, or the grocery store, or the bank or credit union, that you are not intimidated by what other people are saying. That they sort of make you think, well, maybe they're right, Don. Maybe. No. Don't take habit and tradition into the voting booth with you. Take your core values. What do you believe in? I'll tell you why. On the coffee shop, yeah. I'll tell you why that's important. People ask me a lot, how did you become a black Republican? Were you always a black Republican? The answer to that question is no. No. I remember saying to a group of people at a party in college, and golly, I thought I was so smart, so erudite. I was a smug brat. Didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, let alone 2 brain cells. I said to a whole group of people, you know what, if you're really against abortion, I don't think you should. You probably shouldn't have one if you're against it. And then you know what? I got applause from my friends. Oh, that was so smart. I'm going to use that. And now I translate that remark that I said, and if you're okay with killing babies, if you're not okay with killing babies, then don't do it. See how different that is? See how stupid that was? If you don't want to murder your child in utero, then don't. If somebody else wants to murder their child, then you should let them murder their child. It's not any of your business. That's what I was saying. That's really what I was saying. So I look back at my 20-something self and goes, golly, won't you just shut the hell up? That's what I think about my 20-something self. Shut up. You don't have any earthly idea. If I could talk to myself, I'd say, you don't have any earthly idea what you're talking about. You don't have any clue as to what you're talking about. We've got to vote our values. You've got to be clear about what your values are. And then don't take a slate of candidates into the voting booth with you. Take your values. Take your core beliefs. And know this. As you're marking down or pressing on the screen these people, you are mirroring, you're telling the world what your core beliefs are. And when you leave there, know that you just voted what you say you believe in. What you believe in, whether it's different from what you say or not. And if you voted differently than your core beliefs, then that makes you a hypocrite. You're exactly what you say other people are. And one of the things that I fight every day with myself about, one of the biggest struggles I have is making sure that I'm not a hypocrite. I want to be the person that I say I am. I want to be the person that I project, both on the internet and in person. I do not want to be a hypocrite. I just don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want anybody to go back and say, well, you said this and you're doing that. I don't. Am I trying to be perfect? Yes. Am I going to be perfect? Probably not. But am I trying to be perfect? Yes. Perfect is my goal. Will I make it? I don't know. It won't be because I didn't try. So if you go into the voting booth and you leave there and you know that you have voted for people who don't reflect your values, you are a hypocrite. You are the person that you hate. So avoid all that. Go in there and vote your values. Now, real quick, we've got about a minute and a half before we head out of here. My friend Paul Swanson of paulswanson.com, paulswanson.com, it's Swedish, says you can take your values, but make sure you don't take your camera. Well, I know there's a big thing about cameras. Now, in Florida, it is against the law to take a camera into the area where people vote. It's against the law. Now, Craig Latimer, the Democrat who was our supervisor of elections, basically told all the crews that went out to do early voting is people can take a picture of their own ballot. Even though, yes, that is against state law, Latimer says, yes, people can take a picture of their own ballot. Now, here's the deal. Latimer, even the Democrat Latimer understands that there's a proliferation of cell phone cameras, and people are going to take pictures of their ballot. I did, and so have a lot of other people, and they're only going to take a picture of their own ballot. That's one of those things that's impossible to enforce. It's absolutely impossible to enforce, and the only way you can do it is to look over people's shoulders and see who they're voting for. It's impossible to enforce, and I think it's absolutely impossible to prosecute. It's ridiculous, and it's ridiculous to prosecute. What'd you do? I took a picture of my own ballot. Really? Did you take a picture of anybody else's ballot? No. Did somebody pay you to vote for this person? Because ostensibly, that's why you're not supposed to, because they wanted to cut down on the whole pay to vote thing. That's why you can't do it. Because apparently the picture with you and your ballot was supposed to be like a receipt that you could use. I don't think any legislature really could have understood the proliferation of cell phone cameras and the like. And they, and of course, again, making these rules well behind the technology is insane and ridiculous. So even Latimer here in Hillsborough County, where I live, told his people who are out there, in the precincts, don't worry about it. If they're only taking a picture of their own ballot, don't worry about it. Which makes sense to me. Which seems like a very common sense, logical way to go in 2016. There you go. There's been a lot of talk about it, but I think that our guy, even the Democrat guy, has got it on lockdown. Don't worry. He told his people, don't worry about it. As long as they're only taking a picture of their own ballot, who cares? Who cares? It ain't like they brought in a copy machine and and photocopying it. And it isn't like they're coming in with a big TV camera and asking other people and taking pictures of other people's ballots, which you can't do. There you go. So, that's the deal on taking pictures of your ballot. I took a picture of mine and I posted it on Facebook. I took a picture in 2012 and posted mine on Facebook and Instagram. I did. And next year in the mayoral elections that happened here, I'll probably take a picture of my ballot for city council races and mayoral races. Probably will. Come get me. Anyway, we got to get out of here. Thanks for coming to Fight Back. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the flagship program of fightbackmedia.com. If you're interested in what we do, go to fightbackmedia.com. That's fightbackmedia.com. Yes, I am a rebel. Go ahead and scroll down to the bottom of our our website, and you can hear great voices from great urban conservative folks, from Kevin Batts to Sonny Johnson to C.L. Bryant. You are going to like it, and if you like it, support it. Click the donate button up by my video, and I fixed the video so it doesn't auto start. Not a big deal. All I do is click a button. Click. All I had to do. So in any case, thanks so much for tuning in, and we hope to see you again soon. Just like always, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Thanks, Paul. We'll talk soon.